Good evening, I'm John Mackay.
I'm Shireen Nanjiani and this is the evening edition of Scotland Today.
On the programme tonight, closure confirmed. 700 jobs go at Shotts plant.
Unions accuse company of betrayal and ask why a profitable business must close.
Man who left this schoolboy scarred for life is jailed for 8 years.
And ahead for the Highlands, the witch doctor's search for his ancestor's skull.
First tonight, they'd feared a rundown, but today workers at the Cummins engine plant in Shotts learned the worst. All 700 jobs at the Lanarkshire plant are to go by the end of the year. Work will be switched to Darlington in Northern England.
Workers have reacted angrily to the news, accusing the company of betrayal. In the town itself, there's been dismay, with warnings that the closure will have a devastating impact on the area. Tonight, it's emerged that the Scottish office was negotiating with Cummins management on a package of cash aid right up to late last night. Our business correspondent, Alan Sonby, reports.
The Cummins workforce has lived under a threat since October, when the company announced it planned to cut jobs and close plants. At Shotts this morning, they heard the worst. Cummins' middle range of diesel engines will be switched to Darlington, and around 100 Shotts workers will get offers to relocate there. The company says the market for Shotts engines was flat, Shotts was profitable, but a surplus capacity and was not profitable enough.
Shotts is the place we really have a big problem. We have a lot of surplus capacity, and although there's a lot of growth going on in the smaller end of the market, the 4, 6 and 8 litre engines and the higher horsepower engines, in the 11 and 14 litre engines we make at Shotts.
700 redundancies was being relayed to the workforce. Later, management spoke to the media about the decision to leave Shotts.
Well, of course, we have a number of other plants, and we had to consider. We've got a problem which is surplus space, surplus capacity. We had to work out the best way to address that. So the option involved other plants.
The Shotts workers, who've been credited with increased productivity, are naturally disappointed, but also in defiant mood.
Sure, very disappointed in the way we heard about it as well. Can't see how a company can make so much profit and still not be happy with their workforce.
Their jobs are not going, they're going down south. It'd be different if the company was losing money, but they're not.
Hey, that's me finished, I'm 55, I'll never get a job again.
We believe that this decision has been taken by the European operation of Cummins, and it was ratified in the States. We believe that there might be a possibility that we went direct to America, that we might force the company into reversing this decision.
In the 50s, Shotts became Cummins' first European investment site outside America. The current premises were custom built in the early 80s for a workforce of 1,500, establishing the company's base in Lanarkshire.
The Cummins factory was set up in Shotts 40 years ago, and it's become an institution in the area. 85% of the workforce live within a 5-mile radius, and the factory sponsors the annual Shotts Highland Games.
In the town of Shotts today, there was dismay at the company's decision to leave.
I mean, there's nothing in Shotts as it is. You've got a prison and half a mental hospital. Now they're taking the factory away. I worked in Cummins for donkey's years, you know what I mean? I'm thoroughly disappointed with the whole thing. I really am. Disgrace.
And I feel sorry for the younger fellas. It's got families and it's got mortgages. I think it's really terrible. They've shut Craig, they've shut everywhere else. What the hang is their young fellas here go?
The rumour was that a few jobs had to go worldwide, but nobody expected 700 jobs to go here. I think they were looking for voluntary redundancies, and then maybe people had been there quite a while to volunteer, but for the whole workforce to go, it's a disaster for this area.
The Cummins closure will inspire memories of another American industrial disaster in Lanarkshire, Caterpillar's departure from Uddingston in 1987, with the loss of more than 1,200 jobs. And it's of little consolation to the Cummins employees that just yesterday work began on a factory for a Japanese electronics company in the nearby Moss End Enterprise Zone. It's thought those jobs would be unsuitable for skilled engineers. The Scottish office is understood to have been making efforts up until late last night to persuade Cummins to stay.
We've offered financial inducements, we've tried to get them to stay in Scotland. But they've made their minds up, and obviously at the end of the day it's for them to take a commercial decision which reflects the interests of the company. But I can't pretend to be anything other than greatly disappointed.
The local MP says efforts must continue to save the Cummins jobs.
As regards the future, I'm neither optimistic nor pessimistic, but I'm realistic. This is a multinational company which has taken this decision after a long, long review, but I will certainly be doing everything in my power to get them to overturn the decision, and I will be meeting the Scottish Secretary of State, Michael Forsyth, on this subject tomorrow.
The local authority and the enterprise agency have pledged to support the Cummins workers who face redundancy.
What we can offer them is the fact that we can get in touch with agencies for redundancy and counselling and that sort of thing, but hopefully we won't get to that position. What I think we should be doing is saying to Cummins America the uniqueness of the site here in Shotts.
There's no quick fix to these situations. It does take time. We've got a few months. We understand that the bulk of the redundancies will take place in the second half of the year, so we've got some time to try and get some actions underway, and we'll be working with the Employment Service and other agencies to try and do that as quickly as possible.
The wider concern for Scottish industry tonight is that Cummins joins the list of high-profile inward investments whose fate has been sealed in multinational boardrooms out with this country. Colin McKinnon reporting Scotland, Shotts.
Company sources have indicated that although the Shotts plant had been under review for several months, serious talks with the Scottish office took place only in the last few days.
27-year-old Tommy McKeown has worked at the plant since he was 21. His 29-year-old son Mark joined the workforce 9 years ago. While they're vowing to fight against the closure, the outlook for both generations is bleak.
If you're over 50, you're on the scrap heap. You're on the scrap heap. Even people younger than that, you know, they're on the scrap heap. So as far as myself's concerned, I don't think I have any doubt about it. You know, I'm finished. My working life is finished totally.
I'm going to have to move if I get a job. I don't see any jobs, certainly within the engineering sector in this area. I mean, okay, there's places up at Livingston, but I dare say they're not the same standard of jobs, they're not the same pay.
Unemployment in the Shotts area already runs at over 10.5%. As the vast majority of the 700 highly skilled Cummins workers live within a 5-mile radius of the plant, the impact of the closure on the local community will be devastating.
I think it's a disgrace. I mean, there's nothing here, there's no pits, there's no steelworks or nothing. It's time something was done about it.
The factory's been a lot of folks' lives around here, but now it's just gone again.
A little bit of ghost town, I think. I really do.
People of Shotts. Well, joining us now from our Westminster studio is the Scottish Industry Minister, George Kynoch. Mr Kynoch, obviously devastating news for Lanarkshire. Is there anything more you can do?
Well, it obviously is devastating news. It's very disappointing to come on at the back of the successful announcement yesterday of the further phase of Chunghwa, the groundbreaking ceremony and 3,300 jobs. But that's not particularly helpful at the present time for the people of Cummins. I'm just disappointed, actually, that the company didn't talk to us sooner. It took a lot of contact to try and talk to them yesterday. They were difficult to find. We talked about a substantial, and I mean a substantial package to try to persuade them to stay in Shotts, to actually invest further in Shotts, which would have protected jobs. But I think the company had already made up their mind. Obviously, we will ensure that we maintain contact, and if there is the slightest chance of a window opening, we will be in through that window. Is there any suggestion, given the sort of short term of this, that the Scottish office was caught in the hop? I don't think we were caught on the hop. If the company chooses to take a fast decision when we have been in regular contact with the company and the company doesn't tell us, then quite clearly that is the company's decision. What I'm saying is that the package which we talked in outline of yesterday, which was very much at the last minute, had it been discussed at an earlier stage, then just conceivably we might have been able to influence the company more in its decision making. The indications from our report, though, were that news of this first leaked through last October. There was talk of a review in October, and we've been in contact with the company since then. There was not talk of the closure of the Shotts factory. What about the fact of Ken Sanford there saying that the gap between what you were offering, you say it's substantial, the company say it wasn't enough. Any chance of that gap being closed? Can you offer them any more? Well, clearly we will continue to discuss with the company and use every possible avenue to see whether a package is possible. But I have to say, from the discussions that we've had with the company, they have made it perfectly clear that the package they don't see as sufficient. Mr Kynoch, on that note, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you.
You're watching Scotland Today. Still to come on the programme. The firemen attacked at the Lanarkshire plant. A mass meeting backed a ballot to decide on industrial action, including strikes, if talks with the company break down on Friday. Now, business correspondent Alan Sonby reports.
Around 500 workers gathered to condemn the company's lack of consultation about the closure decision. They heard a call for meaningful negotiations to retain the plant and backed the shop steward's recommendation to resist the closure by whatever action was necessary. The meeting lasted about 40 minutes and heard calls to involve all strands of the trade union and political movement in the campaign. When the vote was taken, the result was unanimous. The workers feel they've given every piece of cooperation asked for and have been loyal. Now they felt betrayed.
We've got a united front now as it stands here now, and I'm quite sure regarding the community and that, everybody will try and work hand in hand with us now.
We're going to fight them all the way. That's all loyalty out the window now. That's going to take them on. People like myself have got a young family, got a mortgage and 2 kids, and Cummins has been a good employer and in this area, good rates of pay, and we all know that there's very few places for us to go.
I think the people will vote for a strike without a doubt. They've shown that today, that the anger is still there, and if we can contain that constructively and go forward, I think that is important for us.
Do you plan to go to Indiana?
If it's necessary, we'll go to the moon to try and make the company change their mind.
Meanwhile, in Glasgow, talks between Cummins executives and Scottish office officials to see if a rescue is possible will continue tomorrow. The Scottish office is looking at a possible aid package, but neither side is confident the decision will be reversed.